Hello everyone, welcome back. We're gonna do a little show and tell here today, okay? So I have here an AR-15. This is uh, Delta Level Defense. Delta Level Defense. This is a premium Gucci AR-15. It belongs to a friend of mine. He said he paid like $1,700 for it. I looked up the prices myself, and it can be anywhere from $1,500 to $2,200. Okay, so he said that this setup that's on here was stock. So one of the interesting things about it, like it came with a muzzle brake, but it came with like what appears to be a mil-spec trigger. Okay, I mean, it's a nice mil-spec trigger, but it has like at least a 5-6 pound pull. So I thought that, you know, to me it makes sense. If you're gonna have a muzzle brake on a gun on 5.56 particular, you're gonna match it up with a match grade trigger. Okay, so it's one of the things that we talked about, and he was asking me for some suggestions. I told him, you know, go with the Schmidt, have it on a bunch of my guns. Now the other way that you can go with this is get rid of the muzzle brake. Now this is a really nice muzzle brake. It looks really cool. It is annoyingly loud. Okay, so on 5.56 guns, we usually do pretty high round counts. And with this muzzle brake, I pretty much have to double up on my ear protection so I don't get a freaking headache. So it looks really cool on here. I'll let my friend play with this for a while. Eventually, I think he might come back to me and tell me to take the muzzle brake off because I got the device to remove it. But yeah, it's loud, and I just find it odd that they have a muzzle brake on the a mil-spec trigger. I mean, it's a little bit nicer than mil-spec. You know, it has a very nice crisp brake, but it's still like a 5-6 pound. So if you're trying to like do like 1 MOA groups, it can get a little tiring on your finger. Okay. Other thing that's very cool on this gun is the it has an ambidextrous bolt release. Okay, so if you look over here on this side, first of all, let me get this gun off so you guys can see it better. Okay, so if you look over here on this side, there's your magazine release there. All right, that's pretty standard. But right over here, you've got a bolt release, right? So you have a standard bolt release on this side over here. Okay. Now the thing is that you can't lock the gun back with this. So if I'm pushing here with my index finger, right, and I'm pulling this back, it doesn't lock the gun back. So you still have to go to this side over here and lock it back. Okay. But if you want to release it, you push that button over there, and it will release it. So you're able to release it from there. Now, it does take a good deal of pressure, okay? Because the bolt release is pretty much on this side designed to be used with your thumb, okay, or to be slapped, okay? Or if you're a lefty, you know, usually you'll come around and you hit it with your, you know, with your middle finger, which is a little bit stronger, and you're really like curling around, and you got a little bit more leverage. So I was working with this, and I found that to release this with your index finger, yeah, it's you know, it's quite a bit of work. If you do it, like I did this a bunch of times with a, you know, I lined up a bunch of 1-round magazines. I was doing it repeatedly, and I very quickly came back to, as a righty, you know, just slapping it on this side, you know, or using my thumb to release it. Now, if you're a lefty, that's going to be pretty convenient. So this is a good feature for a lefty, because as a lefty, if you're on this side, right, usually when I train lefty, I have to come around and hit it with my middle finger here like that, right? Because middle finger, again, being a little, you know, I'm able to curl around, I got a little bit more leverage there. But now as a lefty, I can come back and just hit that there with my thumb. Again, with the thumb having more strength and leverage, that's going to be a lot easier. Now, one of the things that I did find is, as I was playing with this, you know, testing it out, a couple of times when I went to hit the bolt release, I hit the magazine release, okay? So these buttons are very close to each other, so it is easy to mix them up. Now, you might say, that sounds like a me problem, right? Not a gun problem. And yes, you're right. That was a mistake that I made. However, you know, given how close these two buttons are and how similar they appear under stress, I mean, not even if, you know, I'm not talking even stress where somebody's shooting at you. I'm just talking like stress, like if you're under a timer trying to get through a class. I can see people dropping the mags, right? And of course, everybody's going to laugh at you if you drop your mag. So I'm going to probably suggest continuing to slap it on this side, just working with it. But it is a nice feature, and this is really like one of the first time that I'm had a chance to play with an integrated ambidextrous bolt release. Okay, now this is only bolt release. Like you can't lock the gun back. Right? If you hold this down like that, it's not going to lock the gun back. Okay? Now, one of the nicest features I like about this gun is on the rail here, and I've not seen this anywhere else before. They've got holes punched in on the top rail here, just to lighten it up a little bit. So that's really nice. Usually, what I like the hybrid rails that have Picatinny here, and then M-lock in the middle to lighten it up. Okay. I have plenty of ARs that have Picatinny all the way across the top. They tend to be a little bit heavier. But with this design, right, where they punch out the holes along the top side, that's really cool because now you got rail all the way across the top, but they've still cut down a little bit on the weight. So I think that's a brilliant design that they got here. Okay, they got. Well, actually, I installed this for them. This is the Vickers Blue Force sling. It's really nice. I've tested out a whole bunch of slings. Now this is a pretty thick, I guess, fabric sling, and a lot of times with these fabric slings, there's a lot of resistance. But this one over here slides up and down really nice. If you have a problem with the slings catching too much, one of the things that I will do on some slings is I'll spray like silicone lube spray on the sling to help with the sliding. This one doesn't need it. It works really nice, right? Come up here, let it all the way out. Okay. It's a little bit too, I was trying to get it so I could do a left side transition. The part of the issue is I got a thicker jacket here, so I can't quite do the left side transition as well. I actually have to swim out of the sling in order to do that left side transition. On my slings, I'm usually able to do the left side transition without getting my arm out of it. Part of that again might be just that it's winter time now. I got a jacket on. The place where I attach this is I usually on all my slings I attach it 11 inches down. I find that works pretty good, especially for doing left side, right side transitions. For slinging it over your back, right, going through a walk in the woods, right, and then being able to whip it around and get back on target. Okay, now the way this sling works, right, and I find this to be the case with I think all the Blue Force slings. To loosen it, you pull it, right. To tighten it, you pull it up. When I usually throw the rifle over my back, this is where I'm tightening it down like this. This goes in the opposite direction of what I normally do, so you don't get that. I'm not able to do that. Minor thing, but it's like for me, I kind of like the other way. I like it when the sling, when you pull it up, it gets tighter, and when you let it down, it gets looser. That's just a question of what you get used to. I mean, everything is going to have pros and cons, but that's kind of like what I've gotten used to over the years. Get out of this. So, scope, I mounted from a brand new EOTech, and then I've got the EOTech magnifier behind it. I'm personally not a big fan of EOTech. I prefer the Holosun 510Cs. I prefer the crisper red dot, right? The EOTechs for me, they tend to be a little grainy, and that's fine. You can get used to it. It's just I like the I like a crisp red dot. I mean, listen, we got a $1,700 rifle here. I mean, it makes sense that he would want to put premium optics on top of it. Okay, so I can hardly blame him for that. Okay, but yeah, this is a beautiful rifle, man. Beautiful color. Love the rail. The stock back here is the B5. It's working. The color on this Vickers sling is beautiful. When I was zeroing it in, I think I got like 1.5 inches. Again, with the EOTech, we're talking about a grain. The dot was a little grainy, so I'm pretty sure if I had like an LPVO, I would probably get 1 inch with this. But yeah, I mean, 1.5 inches is not bad, So let's fire this off a little bit. Let me get my ears on. Because of that muzzle brake, I do have to double up on my ears. I mean, guys, I do this all day, every day. So, you know, it's not like I shoot once a month or something where I can just, you know, man up. I do this all the time. So I got to really protect my ears. So let's try some shots. So let me get back in the sling. Make it look good. So this isn't meant to be a review. I haven't put that many rounds on it or anything like that. It's really like just a show and tell. Like, hey, I got this really cool rifle here. You know, I want to show it to you guys. So with this thing, let's see. Nope, we gotta go the opposite direction. We're gonna lock the gun open. Now here's one of the things I find weird. It's like it has, like I find it odd that they have like an ambidextrous bolt release, but the rifle didn't come with an ambidextrous safety, right? So you would think that if you're going to have an ambidextrous bolt release, you're going to have an ambidextrous safety. So that's, you know, it's like those two things I would think match up. If anything, I would get the I would think that the rifle would get the ambidextrous safety first before it got ambidextrous bolt release. Just like I would think that it would get a match grade trigger first before it got the muzzle brake. Okay, so. So, gun works great, you know, as you would expect from a $1,700 gun. I'm glad I doubled up on the ears because, you know, like when I brought the gun up, like this, you know, kind of pushed on my earmuffs a little bit. It didn't completely break the seal, but it got louder, so I'm glad I doubled up on the ears. But I want to do this. I have here a bunch of mags with one round in, okay? So let's do this. Put this in. Okay, that's the bolt release. I'm gonna do that a bunch of times for you, okay? Yeah, I went to hit the magazine release, and my finger went up to the bolt release because now it's like I'm going back and forth with that. So again, I'm intentionally using the right side bolt release. I keep wanting to use my thumb over here. I'm getting mixed up between the two buttons on the right side. Oh, I used my thumb. Forgot to use this. So it is a little bit stiffer compared to using your thumb here because again, I mean, it's the same pressure, but your thumb is stronger than your index finger. But I mean, it doesn't take that much more force. But the main thing is that I'm getting confused as I'm going back and forth now between two buttons that are right next to each other. I find myself getting confused. So it's a cool feature. Especially if you're a lefty, it's going to work out great. But my suggestion would probably be that stick to using the bolt release on this side because otherwise you're gonna drop your mags instead of releasing your bolts. It's gonna happen. What would be most useful is if you could lock the gun back from here, because that tends to be. But that would be a lot easier if I could lock the gun back from here. That's where having an ambidextrous bolt catch bolt release would be really, really useful. Because now to lock this bolt back, now I have to come here You pull back like that. Yep, I missed it. So it's cool, but it doesn't solve the problem that I would really like solved, okay, or make the thing easier that I would really want easier, which is being able to lock the gun back, when the bolt is closed, right? Because now I got to come back to the thumb. I got to come to this side here. Because of the magnifier here, I got to come to this side here. Flip it over like that. So one of the interesting things with EOTech magnifier is they got like this really large, quick release here, compared to my house where this is a little bit shorter. What I'm finding is that I actually had to push this forward a little bit extra so I can get my hand in here, because I needed to have the clearance between that release there and this charging handle here. That's less of an issue with the Holosun magnifier, just because the catch is smaller. It's on the side. It doesn't get in the way. So that's just an interesting feature of the EOTech design. Okay, I'm actually kind of curious what charging handle this is. Let me get this thing off. Yeah, so this is beautiful colors, man. This thing matches up really nice. Really beautiful rifle. Again, I love the rail. I love the way they have the cuts here. Let's look at the what was that? I mean, there's your the bolt carrier group. Let's see, are there any markings on this? No, there's nothing here to tell us anything about who made this. It might be theirs. It might be proprietary or something, but might. Yeah, the buffer weight looks like a standard 3-ounce. Take a look in there. Kind of curious, how the hell does this? I'm just wondering. Oh, I see. I was just wondering, how does this activate the bolt release over here? Okay, yeah. So I have it open over here. I push down over here. Actually, let me take this apart. So this is an interesting feature. So when the gun basically locks open, this is going to come out like that. And then now when I push over here, you see how that pulls it in. I'm just pulling out here. So that's the connection point, and then here it just pushes in, I guess, on this part here. So it's pretty simple design. Yeah, my main issue with this is the confusion, because these two buttons are like really, really close to each other. So I can very easily see going to release the bolt and hitting the magazine release. You guys gotta look at this rail. See if I can get. Where are you? There it is. So I don't know how well the camera is going to pick it up, but the EOTechs, because they're true holographic sights, they are more grainy. So some really good reasons to have that. In this case, it's a 68 MOA circle versus the 65s in the red dot. Aside from the quick target acquisition, where you can get on target really fast, because you see a big. Because when I'm getting on target, I'm not looking for that little 2 MOA dot. I'm just putting the big circle on the target, right? Which is, I think it's like half the size. think it's half the size of a man. Yeah, it's half the size of a man. So in CQB distance, it's going to be about, or at 15 yards, it's going to be about half the size. Okay, half, that big. So it's really easy to get that on target. It's also really good for range estimating. Okay, because basically at 200 yards, your man is going to stand from the bottom of the circle to the dot. Okay, at 300 yards, he's going to come up 3/4 of the way. At 400 yards, he's going to come up half. And at 500 yards, he's going to come up about 1/4, which is going to equal that little hash. Okay, so if you're looking over here, if you're able to see the circle, those little hashes, 4 hashes at the end of the circle. So at 500 yards, right, your man is going to stand, at that height. So he's at 500 yards, so you can use your hold. Now, interestingly enough, most cars, small trucks, are about 6 feet wide at the bumper, right? So you can also range estimate the front of a car or a truck, okay? And you know that they're at 500 yards. And your hold is, right, with the 50, 200 yard zero, right? From zero distance to 250 yards, you put the dot on target or dot over here, you're going to be either 3 inches high or 3 inches low. At 300 yards, you put the dot on the face, you're going to hit in the chest, okay? At 400 yards, you put the dot on top of the head, you're going to hit the chest. And at 500 yards, you take the distance from the belt to head, that's your holdover, right? At 500 yards, right? And you'll be able to hit your targets. And I've actually posted videos at 500 yards where I'm making nice tight groups with just a red dot and a magnifier, okay? So if you know your holds, if you know your distance and you know your holds, your AR-15 is very effective out to 500 yards. Let's put this back together. My friend is looking at this video and he's seeing this gun all in pieces. He's gonna be like, "Oh my God, this guy's breaking my gun." Like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad trigger, but it's a lot closer to mil spec than anything else. So yeah, it's odd that they put a muzzle brake and a mil spec trigger. It might be a very nice mil spec trigger, but it still, still feels like it's got that same pressure. And it's odd that they have an ambidextrous bolt release, but they don't have an ambidextrous safety. Okay, and with the ambidextrous safeties, you always want the 2-piece, right? You want it to be a solid on this side, right? And then just the piece that screws on this side. You don't want the 3 pieces where you got a piece that screws on this side and the piece that screws on that side, because if the screw falls out of both sides, you don't have a working safety, okay? You want the 2-piece design, so this side is fixed, will never fall off because it's because it's all one piece, and then this side screws in, okay? So really nice, beautiful rifle, man. I really like this. This is a great rifle. $1,700. It's pricey. I mean, how much better is it than the Palmetto? I mean, nice is nice. I mean, it's kind of like having like a Toyota and I guess a Lexus or something. It's like, yeah, the Toyota does the same work, right? But yeah, the Lexus or the Mercedes or whatever is it's a little bit nicer. So it's pretty nice. I'm glad I had a chance to test this out and zero it in and set it up for them. I'm a big fan of not putting extra shit on the gun if you don't need extra shit on the gun. Like the way I like this, like I'm not going to put a light on here unless I think I'm going to be doing night shooting. And what I like to do, I like putting a pistol light on the top. Okay. So, it's really nice because the pistol light is easy on, easy off without having to run wires and pressure pads and shit like that. If I'm setting this up for like, yes, this gun is going to be a dedicated night shooter, yes, then I would put the light on the right side and run a pressure pad on top. And I have set up like my home defense gun is like set up like that with a permanent pressure pad on it. But that gun really doesn't leave the house, okay? But the guns that I actually shoot, I mean, I don't want a freaking light on, a big heavy light on here all the time. So if I do want to shoot at night, I'll just put a pistol light on here, and the pistol light's nice because you just activate it with your thumb, and you can even run it, activate it from either side. And the other thing that I would like to do, with these, if this is going to be like I say, an SHTF gun, what I will do is I will mount my rear flip-up sight here and my front flip-up sight here and my light up here, let's say, or over here. And the reason for that is that it's on the gun, right? Because the magnifier takes priority, right? Because most likely you're going to be using the magnifier more than you're going to be using your flip-up sights, okay? So the flip-up sights will go in this area over here. Not that I'm going to do it, but that's what I would recommend. If you're going to put flip-up sights, I would put them here and here, and it's just a parking space. Now, they will still work to 100 yards, right? I've tested it. It works fine, right? But if everything goes to shit and your red dot, let's say, is not working, well, what you do is then you just move them, okay? Now, I like the grips to have the compartment over here because I like to keep an Allen key over here, an extra battery, an extra bolt, right? An extra firing pin. You can actually fit all that stuff in here, okay? So with that Allen key, I can then move the flip-up sights to wherever I need to move it, right? But this is a good parking area for flip-up sights. Now, is this going to be an SHTF gun? No, I think this is going to be a gun that I think he does classes and stuff with that. So unless you actually need the flip-up sights, I wouldn't even put it on there because, the gun looks really cool like this, So anyway, they're my thoughts. Drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you all soon.